In a moment, James Fox joins us. We'll be talking with James about some incredible UFO stories. Later on tonight, Richard Dolan joins us. James is also bringing us Ricky Sorrells. You might remember the name. Linda Moulton Howe mentioned him during the Stephenville, Texas case. He was one of those few eyewitnesses who encountered the craft there. Ricky will join us in just a second as well on Coast to Coast AM. And welcome back to Coast to Coast. James Fox, born in England at 3 years old. He assisted his father as he traveled to locations for news stories. In 1993, James was introduced to the world of ufology by a very close friend, and he was very skeptical until he started to investigate on his own. And in 1998, he completed his first major documentary for the Discovery Channel, which included such notables as our dear friend Apollo 14 astronaut Edgar Mitchell, and then the late Colonel Philip J. Corso, who was in charge of the foreign technology desk at the Pentagon during the Eisenhower administration. James is with us tonight on Coast to Coast. Hey, James, first of all, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. It's a pleasure to be on the show.
Likewise. And also, we've got here Ricky Sorrells. Ricky was one of those few witnesses who encountered the craft at Stephenville, Texas, at very close range while deer hunting in the late afternoon. He stood directly under it for several minutes. As a metal worker, Ricky was at a loss to describe its construction. It hovered roughly 300 feet directly overhead, so big he couldn't see the edges from any direction. And when it took off, he said, well, he had blinked. He thought he would have missed it. Here he is, Ricky Sorrells. Hey, Ricky, how are you?
How are you this morning?
Good, good. Thanks for coming on with us. And I know you're going to have to run soon, but we did want to talk with you. And James, thanks for helping us out on this.
Absolutely.
Ricky, when you were standing underneath this craft and you said it was so big you couldn't even see the edges, did you see any texture to it?
No, it just had the cones going up inside of it. It was a dull gray finish. It wasn't shiny. It had no bolts or seams or rivets or anything. Pretty straightforward deal, I guess.
Now, when the Air Force came out with their explanation that what you saw was an F-16 fighter jet, how did you react to that?
Oh, it's just typical, I suppose. Since this has happened to me, I figured out real quick that this is a typical response that they give. But it wasn't no F-16.
What'd you think you saw, Ricky? Now you've had some time to think about this.
Right. I still don't know if it's military or from another planet. It's definitely big, and if it's ours, we're in good hands. If it's not ours, we're in trouble. And it was big. It was. I don't see anything like this can float and fly and go and do, but it does.
And fast. Very fast.
And very fast.
Any nightmares because of this, Ricky?
No nightmares, but a lot of lost sleep,
Yeah.
Ricky, I think it's really interesting because one of the reasons why when I first met with Ricky, when I was in Stephenville in January, I think it was early January, he met with me off camera. It was a series of events that led me to meet you, Ricky, and he would not go on the record, but he would tell us off the record what happened, and he took us all out to the spot in the forest. I was with my whole camera crew, and I was, of course, really upset that I couldn't turn the cameras on because your testimony was just riveting to all of us. But you had talked about the fact that the military was harassing you, and I think that was that, and other things was something of concern. Ricky, talk a little bit about that. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. There's so much that's happened. I never dealt with anything like this before, and I didn't ask for it, but it happened. And I've had a guy that I'm pretty for sure that was military that came up to my house about 1 o'clock in the morning. My dog started barking, and I looked out the bedroom window, seen him standing there. And I come around to the back door, and on the way I grabbed my rifle and I looked out the back door, and I could see he'd moved over by my woods. And he was standing there. It was cold and sort of kind of drizzly, foggy, almost drizzly night like a night would be. And in Texas, the moon will shine through and illuminates. And I could see him very well. And we were looking at each other, and he kept sort of kind of like he was cold, rocking back and forth maybe, or I'm thinking he was doing it so he let me know that he was there. Then I've had, when all this happened, I received so many phone calls. It's just unreal. And I would, I'd try to be nice, and I'd let everybody tell me who they were and where they're from. And I wasn't paying attention to who I was talking to, NBC, CBS, all these people. And I'd tell them, no, thank you. And I didn't know what I wanted to do with this. I hadn't even had time to digest what had happened. And one of these phone calls, it started out, is this Ricky Sorrells? I said, yes. Then he said something, Lieutenant Colonel something. I went, what? And then we had a conversation. He was trying to figure out where I live. And, during the course of the conversation, he was apparently on a cell phone right then trying to figure out where I was at. He wanted to come talk to me. And I didn't feel comfortable. And I told him, no, I didn't want to talk with him. I had no desire. And it got pretty heated. And, it got real heated. And just one of them things. I told him, I asked him not to cross my cattle guard. And, got pretty heated.
Was that the last you ever heard of any so-called governmental or military people, Ricky?
Yes, I've had them fly over my place. At first it was helicopters, just constant, flying in like a grid formation or grid pattern. And, it got so bad one night that I'd been spotlighting for coyotes, and I had a spotlight in my truck at my back door. And I'd walked out there, and all I had on was my boots and my shorts, and I walked out there and turned that thing on, and the helicopters were coming over, and I shined it at one of them. And he was so close that I don't know anything about helicopters or airplanes, but it was so close that if it was a pickup, the guy on the passenger side of the airplane picked his arm up. I shined it right on him. Then the airplane or the helicopter immediately turned and came right to me, and they had a spotlight. And I figured I'd done messed up, so I dropped my spotlight and just waved at them and walked back into my house. They come over my house, went around, come back where they were at, and then they continued on while the other helicopters waited. And it was after that I've had F-16s or F-15s, I'm not sure which ones, flying over. Then it's dwindled down to single-engine airplanes that, all hours of the morning, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I've had that kind of stuff. Linda Moulton Howe came and visited me, and, I took her back here, and she was videoing and everything, and we actually found a live shell back in there, and it's not a caliber that I shoot or nobody that I allowed to go hunting on my place that shoots that caliber. So,
Ricky, did you ever talk with some of the other witnesses, and do they share the same views that you do?
Share the same views as far as
what they saw. They kind of back you up.
Oh yes, I get a lot of people. I buy and sell cows on my days off, and I know just about everybody around here, and I get a lot of phone calls. People wanting, telling me they saw this or that, or it's a sad thing, but a lot of the people out in the country are older. There's few and few, getting fewer or less younger people out. So, these older people, they don't know how to take this. And I guess because I'm younger, they call and tell me this stuff. I've got a guy behind me that's got a deer camera that he's caught pictures of. The guy next to me, all his hay bales are standing straight up. You know, they come out